What secret could ruin your life if it got out? Throwaway, for obvious reasons. I hit a smallish lottery, few mil, a little while back and told absolutely no one, family and friend included. I took a bunch of steps to secure my kids' futures, and we live a very comfortable but not lavish life. I'm pretty generous with the people around me. I think that they just think I'm doing very well career-wise, or something illegal under the table. I justify it by thinking that if this was general knowledge amongst friends and family, it would ruin relationships. My priority needed to be my kids.
That's an interesting take on winning the lottery. Keeping it a secret makes sense if you're focused on your kids' futures. It's cool that you're still generous with others while managing your wealth quietly. A lot of people probably would have treated it way differently and let the money change them. Balancing that with family is tough, but it sounds like you've got a good handle on it.
I can't stop myself from lying. Half the time I lie about things that don't matter, and I should have just told the truth for, but I can't stop myself from doing it. All the lies I've told, big and small, all catch up to at one point or another and are seriously damaging my life. My parents and brother don't trust me at all anymore because I've done some incredibly stupid things and lied about them. I've also had to do things or tell bigger lies to cover what started out as a little white lie. Other people around me that caught me in a lie don't know how to act around me anymore. I know I need to stop, and I'm trying, but the more I try to stop doing it, the more I do it. This is slowly destroying my life and my relationship with my family, and there is nothing I can about it.
That sounds pretty tough. It's hard when you realize that small lies can turn into something way bigger. The trust issues with family can really hurt, and it seems like you're stuck in a cycle. Trying to be honest must feel challenging, especially when lying feels like the easy way out sometimes. It's good that you recognize the problem though. Acknowledging it is the first step. Hope you can find a way to break that pattern.
I failed out of college and didn't tell anyone. I lied about still being in school and pretended to go to classes. My parents still thought they were paying for my college. That is the worst part of this whole thing. I wasted 6 months and a good $5,000, if not more. Edit. Thanks everyone for your responses. It's good to know that I'm not the only one who has messed up, smiley face. In response to a lot of questions, my parents found out about everything when my mom was trying to get my health insurance taken care of, and the insurance said that I wasn't enrolled in school. This was 5 years ago. I have since paid my parents back for the money they spent, went to community college, transferred to a 4-year, and am now about to graduate with my BS.
That sounds rough. Keeping such a big secret must have been tough. It's a lot of pressure pretending everything's fine. At least you made things right in the end and turned it around. Community college can be a good path. Lots of people have gone that route. Now you're almost done with your degree. That's a solid step forward. It's good to see you learn from it.
How much I don't care about a lot of people in my life that like me. Co-workers, friends, family. There are a ton of them I just don't care for really, and am just civil with them for convenience. Some of them have done pretty nice things for me, and I am thankful, but there are still some I just don't really like that much. I used to not be like this. I used to try and maintain all the relationships. Now many old friends, people that live far away, I don't even make an effort, and I wonder if I ever cared at all. The weirdest part is in social situations. I'm really good at being friendly and feigning interest in people's life. I've been complimented on being a nice and genuine guy. But there's this resentment I have for many people in my life that I keep hidden. The only people I really care for are a few close friends, my immediate family, and my girlfriend. Other than that, I'd rather just be alone.
I get it. It's like you go through the motions with people who are just there. You try to be nice, and it can feel fake sometimes. You know who matters to you, and that's enough. I think a lot of people put on a show for others, but when it comes down to it, only a few really make a difference. Being alone can be more fulfilling than faking connections.
I've been living in my head for more than 30 years. As a child, I made some kind of fantasy world to escape from my miserable childhood, and I never fully returned to the real world. I never got a proper education, since I can't concentrate more than a couple of hours before I get distracted and return to my other reality, and I have lost several jobs because I'm not paying attention. I don't have any kind of social life, and generally prefer to just sit in the dark and dream my life away.
That sounds like a tough situation. I get how easy it is to get lost in your thoughts, especially when reality gets overwhelming. It's like creating a safe space in your mind where things feel better. But it's sad when those dreams start affecting your ability to connect with the real world or find purpose. Just finding a balance could help, even if it feels hard right now.
How I really feel about myself. It would lead to both people being driven away from me and people sympathizing/empathizing for me. I would hate the people who stayed with me, probably yell at them, drive them away. Then I would be alone and have nothing to live for. So for now, I put on my facade and move on.
It's tough to face how you feel inside. I've seen friends go through similar moments, pretending everything's fine. They push people away out of fear or insecurity. It often results in loneliness. Sometimes, wearing a facade seems easier than showing true feelings. But it can get exhausting. It's important to find those who understand and support you, even if it feels vulnerable to let them in.
I believe in aliens, like to an insane degree. I used to attempt to summon them in an effort to be abducted. I've spent countless hours and night upon sleepless night looking up abduction videos and the like online. Every time I think about aliens, I get this adrenaline rush and feel so alive with the thought of hyper-intelligent, spiritually advanced, telepathically inclined beings. I dream of being abducted or to at least come into contact with extraterrestrials. I guess this wouldn't necessarily destroy my life, per se, but my family is extremely religious, and anything of this nature is a big no-no to them. Plus, if anyone realized how much time and energy I've invested into this, I'm pretty sure they would think I'm a nut job and stop being friends with me.
I had a friend who was really into UFOs. He would spend nights out in the backyard with a telescope, just waiting for something to happen. I remember us watching all those shows about abductions, and he got way too into it. He wanted to experience it, but he never really shared his passion with his family. They were pretty traditional. I think he just didn't want the judgment. It was interesting, to say the least.
I have a disability. The internet doesn't know that I'm disabled. I am a developer, followed by up to 500 people on Twitter, and nobody ever saw me or listened to my voice. I don't want to reveal that because I'm scared it would destroy my reputation. I know, I'm too much negative and I should relax and simply come out. The problem is that, in real life, I am really disadvantaged by my disability. Sorry if my English is a bit wobbly. I'm not a native speaker.
It's tough to feel like you have to hide a part of yourself. The pressure to maintain a certain image online can be heavy, especially when you're dealing with challenges in real life. It's understandable to worry about how others might perceive you. Taking your time to share your truth is okay. Everyone has struggles, and sometimes it helps to connect with others who might understand where you're coming from.
I'm asexual and married to a man who definitely isn't asexual. My husband knows, obviously, because we've been together for years and haven't had sex yet, but no one else knows. They don't know that we're in an open relationship, and he has sex with other women, because that's the one thing I can never give him. And no, I don't mind that he has sex with other people. It was my idea, and we have strict rules about it, that he's always followed, and we're very secure in our relationship. This secret wouldn't exactly destroy my life, but it would absolutely change the way everyone saw us.
It's interesting how people perceive relationships. Your setup works for you and your husband, which is what matters. Keeping things private can be a smart move, especially if it keeps the peace. It definitely makes you think about how others might react if they knew the whole story. Relationships come in all forms, and as long as both partners are happy, that's what counts.
To all the gay people in this thread, it really does get better. 17 years ago, I could have posted that the secret that could destroy my life was that I was a lesbian. I was 100% sure I'd kill myself if anyone ever found out. I was 100% sure that my parents would be completely destroyed and that my relationship with my parents would be ended. 17 years later, I'm out to everyone I know and getting married later this year. My life remains undestroyed.
It's nice to hear that things have turned around for you. It's a long journey for many, but being true to yourself often leads to better outcomes. I think it's great that you're getting married soon. Finding acceptance, especially with family, takes time, but it can happen. It's encouraging for others who might be in similar situations. Keep living your truth and looking forward to what's ahead.
This may be weird to a lot of people, but I am borderline obsessed with this imaginary world that I created for a novel that I was once going to write. Today, it is almost 3 years ago that I came up with the idea. I won't even try to explain it. And ever since I've been sort of lost thinking about it. A lot of people are going to call bullshit, but sometimes when I'm not engaging with anyone, I actually have small hallucinations about the world and the characters. It's kind of scary sometimes, and I've convinced myself that it is not a disorder, as I did not have this problem before I began the process of writing. It's mainly auditory. I've yet to have any sort of visual hallucinations. The worst part is I've rewritten the first chapter at least 50 or 60 times and never seemed to get it right. I feel that if anyone ever found out, my parents would make me go to an institution. I don't think I'm crazy, but I also don't think that this happens to a lot of people. I don't feel special or any bullshit like that. I prefer if it never happened.
It sounds like you've put a lot of energy into this world you created. It's interesting how deep a fictional idea can go, even leading to some unnerving experiences. Writing can be tough, especially when it feels like the first chapter never gets to where you want it. It's not uncommon to feel overwhelmed, but it's good you're aware of how it affects you. Just remember, a lot of writers face similar struggles and doubts.
I was pooping when I started reading this thread on my phone. I got so invested in reading these that after 20 minutes of sitting on the toilet, my body took care of what it needed to. I pulled my pants up and proceeded to class. I just realized that I don't think I wiped. Edit. Went back to the bathroom to check. Yep, definitely forgot to wipe.
That's a classic move. You get so caught up in something that you totally zone out on the basics. I've had moments where I'm focused on my phone and totally lose track of everything else, too. It's funny when you think back on it. Just a reminder that sometimes life can get a bit ridiculous. At least you noticed before it got really awkward in class.
When I was in 8th grade, I fell in love with my girlfriend. I never thought it would be possible for someone so young could have such strong feelings. The relationship didn't last more than 3 months because my mom and stepdad divorced, and I had to move. I thought about her every day since I moved away. I met another person and have been married for 20 years now. I have 4 kids and have no complaints about my wife. 5 years ago through social media, I was able to correspond with 8th grade girlfriend. It turns out that she still has feelings for me too. I've been faithful to my wife for our entire marriage, but want more than anything to be with my first love.
That's a pretty relatable situation. First loves really stick with you, even when life moves on. It's tough when feelings resurface after so many years, especially when you're committed to someone else. Balancing nostalgia and loyalty can be tricky. It's good that you've built a life and a family, but those old emotions can really complicate things. It's a lot to think about, especially when the past calls back.
I pull out my hair. I lied to myself about it for years and told myself and everyone else that it was alopecia, that my hair was just falling out on its own. But it's me. I have anxiety, depression, and OCD. I've been in therapy for a while, and we've been working on it, and now I'm on a new medication specifically for the pulling. My mom is a nurse and always wants to know what meds I'm on and why. I haven't told her about the new one cause she can't know. I've hidden this for over 10 years. So many people think I'm brave for not wearing wigs and shaving my head, but it kills me inside because I've been doing this to myself.
It's tough dealing with something like that. I've seen friends struggle with similar issues, hiding their pain while pretending everything's fine. It's easier to put on a brave face and avoid the real talk. Sometimes you just want to keep some things private, especially from family. Therapy can help a lot, though. It's all about taking small steps and finding the right support. I hope it gets easier for you.
If I were to ever win the lottery, I would not tell anyone. It's human nature that others would expect you to share it with them. And they never think you've shared enough. After all, you didn't do anything special to acquire your one money, they think. I'd attribute my wealthier spending to online stock market success. Friends/relatives psychologically don't expect you to freely give it all away if you earned it.
It's interesting how people think about money. Winning the lottery could change everything, but keeping it quiet makes sense. People can become entitled when they know about it. They might start believing you owe them something. It's easier to say you got lucky with investments instead. Then, they might just think you're smart with your money, not that you suddenly have a lot of it. Just a simple way to handle expectations, really.
I've seen what money does to family, and I don't blame you. Watching people take a friend of ours' mother to court to sue before she was even dead was amazing. They couldn't even wait, try to get her invalidated from her own estate. I would have serious doubts about telling some of my family as well, especially my mother. She would be crawling from whatever rock she is hiding under to slither her way back into my life if I ever had some money.
It's wild how money can mess up relationships. Seeing those people planning to sue before someone even passed is just low. It makes you wary about sharing your success with certain family members. Like you think they care about you, but maybe they're just waiting for the chance to benefit. It's a tough balance between wanting to share good news and protecting yourself from opportunists.
Go to a tax attorney today. Today, the IRS has programs where people can go, file back taxes, and pay reduced penalties/taxes. It's very common. But do not, I repeat, do not call one of those skeezy pay off your back taxes firms you see advertised on TV. Go to a legit tax attorney, come clean, bring W-2s and everything, then get it settled. You absolutely will pay lower taxes/penalties if you voluntarily make amends than if the IRS audits you and finds what's up.
I had a friend who ignored their tax issues for years. They kept putting it off, thinking it would magically go away. Finally, they decided to see a tax attorney after hearing similar advice. Turns out, the penalties weren't as bad as they feared. Just being honest and upfront saved them a lot. Now, they always remind others to tackle these things head-on instead of waiting for the IRS to come knocking.
Just get a tax attorney and start filing. I hadn't filed taxes in 7 years when my friend told me I could just call up and order forms from YRS Past. I did and filled them out myself. I even got refunds for some years, which is awesome. Smiley face. It's better for you to just start the process because whether you initiate it or they do, it'll happen eventually. It'll be way more stressful if they do. If you come forward, you'll at least be seen as someone who's come clean and isn't trying to cheat the system. And if you do end up owing money, you can set up a payment plan. Don't be afraid, just do it. Has to be done. Really.
Yeah, I get that. This whole tax thing can be overwhelming. I had a similar experience where I hadn't filed for a couple of years. A friend suggested I just dive in and get it done. I found out it wasn't as bad as I thought. Once I started, I felt relieved. Just tackling it head-on makes it easier, and you don't want the stress piling up. Just handle it, and you'll feel better.
I am in a similar situation. I know that my father has some sort of LDR with another woman, and I know that my mother knows, and she's okay with it. I haven't talked with my brothers about it, but I guess that they've figured it out too. I have met her and she is nice, intelligent, and good-looking. Actually, she looks a lot like my mother. I can't hate her. She lives in another country, so she and my father see each other only 1 or 2 times a year on business trips. My parents have been together since high school and have been married for 25 years and still have a great relationship. My father is my role model. When I found out, I was shocked at first, but then I realized that nothing has changed. I see that he still loves my mom very much, and he is still a great father. He works really hard and is under a lot of stress at work. I guess he just needs this. However, I haven't told this to anyone because they will not understand.
This is a pretty complex situation. It's interesting how you can see things from different perspectives. Your father's choices might seem unusual, but they don't affect the core of your family. It's good that you recognize your father's intentions and the love he has for your mom. Keeping it to yourself makes sense. Sometimes, sharing doesn't lead to understanding. It's hard to navigate family dynamics like that. Just take your time with it.
I had a kid that bullied me in 1st and 2nd grade till I moved to another school. One day, he attacked me in the bathroom and lifted me up by the neck against the wall, and at that point I realized this kid is actually trying to kill me. Luckily, my fight or flight kicked in, and I did something to get away. Later on in the year, he brought a big cooking knife to school and hid it in the playground. Other kids found it and gave it to the teacher. The teachers knew it was him. He confessed and was sent to juvie. 100% was going to try and kill me. We moved after the end of the year. I haven't thought about that in 15 years till I read this post. Later on, when I was in middle school or high school, I learned he didn't have a dad and his mom was a drug addict, and he was jealous of my parents when they would try and help him. Glad you didn't go through with it or get caught. It could have really fucked your life up forever. In high school, I learned that this kid was still a fuck, constantly in and out of juvie. He's probably in jail now.
That's a rough experience. It's crazy how some people end up in those situations. Bullying often comes from something deeper, like what you found out about his home life. It makes you realize the impact of our environments. It's good that you escaped that situation and moved on. Seeing someone like that go down a bad path can feel strange, but you can't carry their struggles with you.
You are not weak for wanting to talk about your pain. Sometimes I too have those thoughts. I don't know if they're just intrusive thoughts or because of the pain I have from my migraines. You can send me a PM if you want. I won't see you as weak, as sharing pain and emotions make you stronger. Vocalizing what bothers you instead of bottling it up inside you is strong.
I get it. Talking about pain can feel heavy, but it's okay to express it. I remember when I had bad migraines and it felt isolating. Reaching out to friends helped. Just sharing what I felt made a bit of a difference. It's not a weakness to share. It's part of being human. Opening up can help ease the burden, you know? It's good to talk.
I know how you feel. For whatever reason, I'll just lie about some things that don't even matter. I told my girlfriend of 2 years that I met in college that I wrestled all throughout high school when we were over a year into the relationship. Only did it for 1. Told other college girls I went to a private high school for a year. I didn't. Lied to my mom about grades I'm getting. Lied to my roommates about where I go. Lied to my family about work stories. Lie to anyone about anything, and I really don't know why.
It's interesting how we end up lying about small things. I've done similar stuff, like exaggerating experiences to fit in better. It's not like the truth was that bad. Sometimes I guess we just want to create a version of ourselves that feels more impressive or interesting. In the end, it just adds unnecessary pressure. It's tricky to navigate that kind of stuff in relationships, though.
I failed out of school, lied to my parents about it, kept the lie going for almost 2 years, but here I am, almost 10 years later, with a good job, a car, a house, a dog. You'll find your footing and things can get better. But if you haven't talked to your parents yet, you should. Good luck out there.
It's interesting how some lies can last so long. I once had a friend who did something similar. He didn't do well in college and told his parents he was passing. Years later, he found his path, got a good job, and made something of himself. But his relationship with his parents was always strained. It's true, you find your footing, but honesty goes a long way too.
I'm 25 and have so far dropped out of a community college TAFE course after 1 year, a graphic design degree after a year, and am now on my 2nd year of commerce degree that I hate with a passion and have only passed 4 classes of. It's getting embarrassing and I hate that I don't have any passion in life. I think my debt is at $12,000 so far, pretty much all wasted.
It's tough when you feel stuck in a cycle like that. A friend of mine went through a similar situation. He switched majors a few times, unsure of what he really wanted. It took him a while, but eventually he found something that clicked. Now he's working in a field he enjoys. I think the important part is figuring out what really interests you, no matter how long it takes. It can turn around.
My husband was medically discharged from the Army. He gets a monthly stipend. I think you only get the severance pay if you rate below 10%, but it sounds to me like yours would likely be above that. He only had 2 years in. We also get to keep insurance, which has been great because my son was in and out of Children's Hospital during his first year of life. All we pay is a $12 copay. Please see a doctor.
It sounds like your husband has gone through a lot with the Army stuff. It's good that he gets that stipend and insurance, especially with your son needing care. I can only imagine how stressful that time must have been for you all. Keeping on top of health stuff is really important, so seeing a doctor makes sense. Hope everything continues to work out for your family.
I work with patients in gastroenterology, and these symptoms sound just like the ones I frequently hear about from people in the clinic. GI problems like you described are frequently treatable, but you can also actually die if you don't do something about it. I know going to the doctor can be scary, especially with the situation you described, but your family could potentially hurt more if you didn't. Just be open to caring for yourself too.
I've seen friends struggle with health issues that seem minor at first but can escalate quickly. I had a buddy who ignored his stomach pain for too long. Eventually, he had to go to the hospital. Thankfully, it turned out to be treatable, but it was a wake-up call. Sometimes we brush off signs from our bodies, but it's crucial to pay attention and take care of ourselves.
I'm going on 53 days clean. If you want to become clean, I highly recommend going to NA meetings. They are some of the most supportive people I have ever met with my drug addiction. They briefed me on what detoxing would be like and would always be there if I was craving or feeling weak. No one has to know that you're going to NA because, well, it is anonymous. You will meet former meth addicts that have turned or are in the process of turning their life around. The withdrawals will be shit, but at the end you'll feel like you have control over you again. You don't have to be off drugs when you start going to meetings. You just have to have the desire to stop using it. Also, talk to your doctor about getting non-narcotic anti-anxiety medication that will help you through the withdrawals, and call the addiction hotline to see what government-funded rehab programs are available.
It's impressive to see someone commit to sobriety like that. NA meetings can really change lives, and it's good to hear they offer a safe space. The support from others can make a huge difference, especially during tough times. It's all about taking those small steps towards regaining control. Reaching out to a doctor for help is smart too. It really shows the importance of having a plan and support system in place.
My younger brother was in the same position. Some of this is how he dealt with it eventually. Volunteer job at a charity, no obligations, no expectations, just meeting new people and trying out a new experience. This new experience eventually equals work experience. Work for or in an educational establishment. You're comfortable in an educational environment. Teacher's assistant, coordinators, facilitators, and even becoming a teacher are options that might work better for you. The environment is familiar and safe. You're just on the other side of the classroom. Acting classes, seriously, they allow you to express yourself without being yourself.
My younger brother had a rough time figuring things out. He started volunteering, which helped him meet new people without the pressure of commitment. Then, he ended up working in a school, a place he felt comfortable in. It was a smooth transition for him. Lastly, he took some acting classes. It was a good way to express himself without feeling vulnerable. Small steps, but they made a big difference.
A good male friend of mine took MDMA for the first time at uni and told a friend of ours, "Out of all the people I haven't slept with, you're the one I masturbate to the most." It was the first of many stupidly honest things he'd say when high. Edit. For those asking, considering he said it to her in a noisy club with huge saucer eyes apropos of nothing, I'd say she took it pretty well. Hey, she said something like, "Eh, or what?" And we all laughed hard about it later. No harm done.
That's a wild story. It's funny how people can be so honest when they're under the influence. It must have been an awkward moment at first, but I guess it lightened the mood. It's those spontaneous comments that really stick with you. Shows how unpredictable nights out can be. At least they all laughed it off afterward. That's the kind of memory that makes uni life memorable.
Probably not a mental illness if you know you're daydreaming and using your imagination. I have inattentive ADHD, and I have a similar vivid imagination. I take meds similar to Adderall to curb the daydreams and keep me focused. One thing I don't like about my medication, though, is that I can tell that it stunts my creativity. Uneasy face.
It's interesting how medication can really change your mindset. I had a friend who said the same thing about their ADHD meds. They felt sharper in focus but missed that creative spark. It's like a trade-off where you gain one thing and lose another. Finding that balance can be tough. Sometimes just daydreaming is helpful for creativity, but with the meds, it can feel like a barrier.
There's nothing wrong with being holding onto the cool things that children take for granted, including imagination and play. Some people would work really hard to achieve the complex and vivid world that you have made. By the way, if you want to take your dragon to the next level, you might want to check out Slash or Slash Tulpas, where you'll find people who create independent, self-aware, imaginary friends.
It's true. Sometimes adults lose that sense of wonder and imagination. I had a friend who always embraced his inner child. He had an imaginary dragon that he carried with him everywhere, and it made him happy. When he found that online community, it was cool seeing him connect with others who understood what he loved. It kind of reminded me that it's fine to keep those fun parts of childhood alive.
Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.